Oscar Villacis, a first-generation American, wants to enlighten your mind to everyday life as a first-gen in today's America. There is a perception in today's society, and Oscar is going to dive in and dissect the reality of being a first-gen. Join Oscar and his guests from all walks of life, discussing their trial and tribulations in today's America. Now your host, Oscar Villacis.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of First Gen American. Man, you know, being out for like two days, 2 days of the week, obviously, when we do the show, it's just, I don't know, it just feels so good to be back. But first, before we get started, let's give a special shout out to our sponsors. Without them, this couldn't be possible. So, quick shout out to Rivera Nayarit, located in 116 West Pearl Street in Nashua, New Hampshire, for your seafood Mexican cuisine, authentic, owned by Latina and a Latino, family-owned business. Please reach out. And if you want street tacos or authentic birria tacos, the TikTok tacos is what we call them, reach out to Rivera Nayarit. And if you happen to be in Manchester, up north, like our next guest, then visit them at Mi Jalisco for your street tacos and your famous birria tacos. The consistency of that authenticity is all the same through and through. Shout them out. I appreciate all the love and support. Thank you. For all the new listeners and subscribers and people that are viewing, please reach out to us at www.fgmshows.com for any updates, movements within first generations like ourselves that are doing all over the state. And if you're curious enough to be in a podcast or start your own podcast, well, guess what? We have a podcast room ready for you. It's called the Push and Play. Bring in your creativity. The rest will work itself out. Express yourself and any type of content that you want to bring out into the world, fgmshows.com. And also, how can I forget? Sapopan. Fabiola is mi amiga, nuestra amiga aquí in First FGM and First Gen American. And she's doing a phenomenal job. And she's just a juggernaut in herself. Another Latina-owned business. Carniceria Sapopan. Reach them out. Water Street here in Nashua, New Hampshire. And if you guys are looking for an employment, Fences Unlimited, fencesunlimited.com. Fences Unlimited, fabricating fences for over 40 years. Custom-made, fast turnaround, brick and mortar with corporation benefits. And now they're hiring in all type of departments in their company. So reach them out. Also, New Hampshire Housing. If you are looking for assistance in any type of rent, don't be too proud to go ahead and have a friend reach out and help you out in situations like this, because times are tough. And I don't know what people are doing for this. People are saying that a lot of people are not working and, well, they want to get paid what they deserve. So, and if they're struggling out there, reach out, and there's no need to put your family through that. So, New Hampshire Housing. Today's guest, he's been avoiding us, but look at him now. Yo, Jason Bonilla is somebody that I vibe with, because I like this gentleman. He's a mover and a shaker just like me, and he's a young man striving, an elected official in Manchester, New Hampshire, from El Salvador. Va pues. You know what I'm saying? And just the shaker, one of the shakers and the movers from the state. Welcome to FGM, sir. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. And yeah, honestly, I was avoiding y'all. My fault.
He was a little nervous. Nah, but you're a busy guy. You're a busy guy. You're doing a lot of amazing things in Manchester, and we commend you for that. We see a lot of, we see Sebastian, the Eva Castillos, the heavy hitters out here, Manny Espedias, Manny Ramirez, all of these Latinos doing amazing things, and so that's why we wanted to highlight you. And this is your platform as well, my brother. So tell me a little bit about, your first generation journey.
Yeah.
And tell me what got you involved in AmeriCorps.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So my family came up to the US by foot, right? Back in the 80s. So my mom, she brought over her cousins, her sisters, and we all landed in Cambridge, Mass. From there, I think that y'all know the story. The minute you pick up the English language,
Right.
unconsciously you're that interpreter, right?
Right.
So by a very young age, I was balancing checkbooks, skipping school just to like interpret for my mom. My mom would be like, "Mira, mira, vaya ayudar a ese muchacho." I'm like, "Mommy, I don't even know that guy." She's like,
Yeah.
"But you speak English." I'm like, I got you then."
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so like
Go help the neighbor.
you
The
gotta,
neighbor. Yeah.
yeah. So
Oh,
you
I
know
got somebody's son. He's been helping his mom. He can translate for us. Yeah. Hey son, do
exactly,
you mind? You're already commitment. You're already getting committed to things that you didn't even know that you
right?
were taking responsibility for.
Yeah, and like my mom's hustling, single mother. I had a little brother, so already from that start too, I'm like kind of like co-parenting with my mother.
Yeah.
Looking after my brother.
Mm.
It's just wild the amount of the amount of pressure that's on you as a child because it's like you're told you have powers. You have a power
Right.
to speak the language. You got citizenship, right? And it took me so long to recognize that privilege because like
Right.
every time we talked about our family, my mom, you know, my mom would be like, also be careful who you open the door to. Don't trust no one
Right.
because it's always avoiding even ICE, avoiding immigration. Like it was that fear was prevalent in my family.
Yeah.
So it's just like that the sense of trust was real. Family was real, which really got me motivated to do all the stuff I do.
I've had many guests on the show. Not once has anybody the fear of like to even express or to say ice. We joke about it as first gens. We joke about it, right? Because it's been kind of like it's been like a passive aggressive joke amongst other people towards us, and we're just like, oh, be careful with ice. Look,
Yeah.
hey, you keep messing with me, I'm gonna call ice on your family. Like, we take that as a passive aggressive joke, and for us to kind of assimilate to be validated in that group that we don't belong to,
Yeah.
we're kind of like passive aggressive about it. Be like, ha ha ha, that was funny, man. Nah,
Right.
I'm good. I'm an American citizen, but we say that with pride. But you're the first one that I've ever had on the show that has expressed that.
Yeah, I mean,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I mean, I didn't want them to take away my family.
Right.
So when we moved over to Revere, Mass, that's where my life changed.
Yeah.
So, because growing up in Cambridge, you had like English classes and Spanish classes throughout the day. So that's how I was able to pick up the English language, right?
Right.
But the minute we moved over to Revere, things were different, and that's where I had my first encounter with ICE. I remember them just like knocking the door, and they were like, "It's police,"
That
Me
fake-
being
yeah.
being dumb, I opened the door.
Yeah, that fake approach.
Right.
For all the listeners out there that are in that situation, if ICE knocks on your door, they're not the cops. They don't have warrants. You don't let them in. Nothing seen, nothing heard, and nothing happens. So, and also, if you're looking for legal advice, please reach out to your local immigration attorneys. We have a great immigration attorneys here in Nashua and in Manchester. Reach them out because they're a great resource, and they do free consultation too. So, please reach out to them.
Yeah, I mean, they came up. They took our tenants. They were close family friends of ours,
Oh man.
and that was a wrap. And I'm like, from there, it's like you saw the impact of how it messes up your childhood. I'm like, that constant living of fear.
Yeah.
I could feel it, right? I never understood what my mother would go through, right? Because her being again, not being a citizen of this country at the time, being a single mother, being a woman of color, raising two men in this country. Right, so it's just wild, and also to recognize, like, again, the power that I had, right? Like,
Yeah.
so from there, I think that let's just fast forward to high school, right? Like,
Yeah.
that was even trying to finish high school because where I grew up in Revere, it was Shirley Ave. So for those of you all know Shirley Ave, we had Bloods, Crips, MS-13. It was constantly there. Like, no one wanted to be in my block of Revere. So like, how could I ever see myself? I thought like my zip code predetermined everything. I'm like, I'm gonna graduate. I'll probably graduate from high school and then probably go back to cleaning, right? The stereotypical Hispanic jobs, and not to disrespect all of from the labor my mother did, because she was cleaning toilets and she recently retired, cleaning toilets at the Hind Convention Center in Boston, right, for 30 years.
Wow.
So like, I've done all that, right? But I thought that was my path, right? Like eventually I'd find a wife, have kids, buy a house.
Yeah.
I didn't see a way out. And a mentor came into my life, and they're like, "Yo, you have this experience.
Yeah.
Use it. You have this story that people want to hear from, right?
Yeah.
So many people can relate to your story." So I'm like, "All right, cool." So they're like, "Try this program called Cityr." I'm like, "What's that?" And Cityr, right? It's a federally funded program by AmeriCorps.
Yeah.
So I'm like, "What's that?" So you work in schools to support full-time teachers and work with students who have similar backgrounds, similar stories, similar identities.
Yeah.
So I'm coming in here as a Salvadorian male,
Yeah.
right? But the thing that was hindering me the most is like, I didn't have a college degree though, right? So coming in and being in these classes, most of the people that were serving with me in AmeriCorps, in Cityr, were right out of college.
Yeah.
For me, it's like, nah, like I had a completely different story. Like I could relate.
Yeah, you can relate, but at the same time, it felt like an imposter syndrome. We deal with that a lot because it's like, wait, we come from the same background, but your educational level, I feel like I'm out of place here. People see that I'm talented, right? They were saying, you're talented, you're gifted, you got something, and here you are with the self-doubt. So like, I don't know what I got. Am I chewing more than I can swallow in this situation?
Right.
You know, and how far ahead am I gonna go with this, right?
Yeah, I mean, so I had a manager. She was awesome. Her name's Maria.
Yeah.
She was white, but she spoke Spanish so fluently. I'm like, she got it. And she'd be like, "Jason, your story, don't forget about your personal experiences are just as valid." And I think that really stuck with me. And also my teammates. Shout out to the Filipino community in my team. They really held me down as well. But it reminded me that I had power and I belonged.
Right.
So I did 2 years of AmeriCorps. And from those 2 years, I was like elevating the stories from my families, elevating the stories of our students, and seeing the importance of having mentors, educators, community leaders that look like them. Because it's like, how can you believe something if you can't see yourself in those positions, right?
Exactly.
So my students would be seeing me, and they'd be like, "Why are you here?" I'm like, "Why aren't you making money?" I'm like, "I'm here for y'all."
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, we don't see people like you, Mr. Bonilla, here ever. And like, that's where I saw like, we need more of this. I need to do more of this.
Right.
And then I got involved in recruiting. I was recruiting all across the country for Cityr, and really trying to recruit more people like myself, right? And also, how can we provide more of these opportunities to students who don't have the traditional educational pathway, right?
Right.
Because we're always focusing on students with college degrees, right? But they're individuals like myself also belong, also deserve these opportunities too. And there's more. And I found myself surrounded by amazing mentors that really pushed me to where I'm at now, right?
But the most important part is that they looked like you.
Yeah, they looked like me.
So it gave you a sense of hope. Like, we can do this. It
Right.
gave you a sense of unison and camaraderie to be like, we're doing this together.
Right.
And I felt the most powerful moments of my life were with around individuals with a higher educational level, or maybe another entrepreneurial path, where I'm seeing that and the most approachable way of learning is including. And then they were like, "No, we can do this. This is how I did it. I know that we have some challenges, but this is how we overcame it."
Right.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. Let's go.
Right. Yeah.
Tell me about, you're a Salvadorian, right?
Mm-hmm.
The stigma between gangs and everything. You said it, MS-13, right? That swinging pendulum of like a sense of belonging. Individuals from your own community, sometimes it depending on the path that you want to take or that you're vulnerable to, you can easily gravitate to that. Well, this side, I don't see individuals that look like me, that are entrepreneurs, but I see a lot of individuals in a family base that know my struggle. How did you not get gravitated to that? Or did you have a close moment where there was individuals, where they were like, well, this is all I know. This is family.
Yeah.
The streets, especially Revere. And,
Yeah. I mean, the minute, I always tell people that you got to leave. You got to put yourself in a place of uncomfortability. But
Yes.
but then again, though, most of us have been in that position our whole life, right?
Right.
As people from the BIPOC community.
Mm-hmm.
So I left the community that was predominantly black and brown, and I started to mingle with white folks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, white folks eat Greek yogurt. All this, like, like I'm just, it's just
cottage cheese.
right. It's just different for me. Honestly, it's different for me. It was like my first exposure, and like
Yeah.
it was wild. But like I started to see, I'm like, dang, aspects of machismo within myself.
Hey.
I started to recognize like, well, like, I want to express my emotions as a male, as a Latino.
Right.
And
Which that's not heard of.
oh, it's not heard. It's hard to, right? Because like, from like how we got to this country historically, right? You gotta keep going. You gotta
Warriors.
You gotta like put up your
warrior
walls.
mentality, yeah.
You gotta like just push it down deep. Like, don't talk about it.
Hey, los hombres no lloran.
Right. You're always told that you're not supposed to
Right?
cry, right?
Yeah.
And then they're like, let's not just talk about, let's just work, and let's not just have conversations. I'm like, I'm hearing people having conversations at a dinner table. I'm like, what is that?
Right.
I'm like, I've never been able to have a conversation like that with my direct family, because like we're just always working. Everyone's just working, and
Yeah.
we're tired. We'll make food for each other. We'll laugh.
Insurance, 401k, trust funds. What's that?
No, I know.
Stocks and bonds?
Nothing. So
Home
I'm like,
ownership.
I'm like doing all this on my own.
Right.
And granted, right, it's definitely is wild though. I'll tell you this though. My mom was able to now to this day she owns 2 homes on her own. She did that. Like, she's done that. Like, we've had a roof over her head. Like, she's grinded this out, and like, I don't know how she did it. She found friends that were realtors, but she learned how to play the game as well.
Yeah.
Even though she could, English wasn't her first language, right? This country, she wasn't born here. But like, I started to see that. I'm like, wait, how can I be proud? Because like, there's aspects of myself growing up that I was ashamed of being Latino. I was scared of speaking Spanish. I felt like the sense of imposter syndrome. I'm like, dang, why can't I speak like my cousins?
Right.
Why do I have these accents? I don't want to be like my little brother said, Jono Sabo kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm like, so it took some time to really acknowledge, and what the farther I got away, the farther I left my family, I was like, wow. There's power here. There's pride here. I love my culture. I love my language.
Yeah.
How can I retain it? And throughout the years, right, I've been practicing every day. I'd be looking up the lyrics to the, Bad Bunny lyrics and hearing that, and Bad Bunny songs, and I'd be just reciting song after song, talking to my family to the best of my ability, speaking Spanish. So, and then you have a Salvadorian male coming into a family party, and I'm like talking about politics, and they're like, why are we talking about politics? Because I'm like, our whole identity is political.
No,
so,
but
like,
they don't listen to us, man. We don't got a say in none of that. They make the decisions for us. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Forget it.
I know.
Let them make the decisions. What happened? When did that street sign go up? Oh, yeah. You got to go to City Hall. There was an event, but yet again, there's a big gap between that, right?
Right.
What inspired you to, before we get there?
Yeah.
Let's stay here.
Yeah.
Right? You're getting into uncomfortable situations.
Yeah.
Which a lot of us are just no way. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Kind of like being on this radio show. You come in here, right? Like, no, there's no way. But what's that sense of motivation to jump into the unknown, to say, let's do it? Because that's a gift.
Yeah.
Not everybody obtains that gift. They want to stay in the norm. They want to be like comfortable, income, security. I'm doing my best. I've done what I've done for my family. I'm always gonna be there. But for me, I just wanna. The American dream for everybody's completely different.
Yeah.
What does that define for you? What is the American dream? What's the definition for you?
I mean, I just see that my job's not done here. Like,
Talk about
if
it.
I'm born here, I got to do something with it.
Right.
I know there's so much that I have yet to do.
Yeah.
Especially for our communities, especially for even our Hispanic communities here, especially for our first generation or immigrant community in New Hampshire, even across the country. Like, I think there's more that I can contribute to this world, because I want to leave something here. I want to leave a legacy.
Yeah.
as well as I think we all do, because coming here, or my family coming here, they didn't just, I mean, people don't wake up and just want, like, I'm gonna leave my home country.
Right.
So I just feel like recognizing everything they've done for me, I think that I can take on the torch and do what I can.
Right.
For me, it's also creating equitable pathways for all of us, and trying to break down the, like, education for me it's like, it's not just one thing, right?
Right.
But the more we know, the more power we have. I always say we can leverage education and learn how to really elevate our voices, because our voices do matter. But we always say unconsciously that our voices don't matter. They don't listen.
Yeah.
But to be honest, you show up to a meeting,
Mm-hmm.
bunch of folks, you speak, oh, people are going to listen now.
Yeah.
But it's about remembering and taking these experiences and like in these stories and these struggles that we've gone through, and putting them into like a verse, or putting them into a song, a poem, or even a statement, to ensure that we're creating these equitable pathways for all of us.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, for me, it's like equity holds me down. Advocating for Black and brown youth, because I'm just going to say that I always feel like there's just not enough of us fighting for that. You know, we can stay in our own lane.
Yeah.
And I know that all of us are like going through our own stuff, but like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to put my mental health on the line and do this.
Yo, the fact that you said that, that's real. That's real.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people, they just assume that because you're in the limelight, like, I'm about to be a father, right?
Congrats, bro.
Thank you, man. Thank you. And every day I question every single move twice as hard now. What is my mental stability so that I can be a great father going home? Now my life has changed. Like, throughout the last couple of weeks, my life has completely changed. The way I think, the way, like, I thought 10 steps ahead. Now I'm thinking 20 steps ahead. And now I'm thinking about my mental health and, like, how have I done enough to make sure that I'm doing enough for my community, for our people, for my family? Am I paving a way for my children, for my daughters, to be able to move a certain way without feeling like that? Right?
Right.
And I'm thinking, well, damn, that was me moving like that since I was 7 years old, translating from my mom. Okay, how do I not pass that along so my daughters feel that way, right? And is the job ever gonna be done? Because, like, we talk about mental health, we move the needle, we get burnt out, we sizzle away.
Right.
One person started something, he's moving it, we're going somewhere, he's gone, he's disappeared, she disappeared. What happened? And then you look at them and you're just having a conversation like we do behind closed doors all the way around. And then you look at yourself and you're like, yo, what really happened, bro? You good? It's like, I couldn't anymore. And, like, people don't understand that our mental health is on the line. Yeah, the great applause. Wow, you're doing such a phenomenal job. But the criticism with the crowd inside your head that is constantly speaking over and over and over, is this all worth it? Can drive you insane.
Oh, yeah.
Yo.
I definitely hear that. Like,
are you kidding me? Like, people just don't get it. They don't. Like, yo, I get emotional because I deal with that. We deal with that. Jasmine deals with that. You deal with that every single day, dude. Yeah. And just people don't know. People's like, you're in a magazine cover. You're an editor. You're out in the streets. Like, you don't know the trajectory. And, like, at the end of the day, your family will never give you the recognition because they don't know what you're doing, because you are the first to be doing something completely different. And they're like, just be careful, honey. Yeah. Son, just be careful. Don't put yourself out there, because we're all vultures at the end of the day. Yeah. Jasmine wants to say something. Go ahead, Jazz, what are you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say, it kind of speaks to, like, people in, positions like, school board positions.
Yes.
And, and we need more representation. And, like, something that you said that, touches me is, like, about education, because I'm an advocate for that too, is that,
Absolutely.
shout out to my friend Leslie over at UTech for teaching me this, but some of the best community outreach workers, or just in general people who are connected to the community, some of the best ones are indigenous to their communities,
Right.
and it doesn't always have to be
Say that again. Say that again.
the best community outreach workers, or people connected to the community, are indigenous to their communities.
That's right.
And so when we talk about like whether we're educated enough to step into a position or take on a challenge, right? It's sometimes I think, well, I'd rather take someone who knows the community,
Right.
who's lived in the community, who's worked with the kids directly, who's let them speak on behalf and advocate for themselves, right? I'd rather work with that individual than
Yes.
someone who's like, I've got a master's degree right here.
Right.
Yeah,
And how can you connect to that community? Well, I don't know, but I got a plan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You hear that a lot.
And you know what?
Yeah.
There's no knocking on people who go out and get that education.
Right.
Like, good for
Right.
you, because that's hard. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I'm like, all these wonderful, resources we might have, and yet we still have a gap that we need to
Huge.
address. You know what I mean? And so, and something, speaking to your burnout, right? A lot of the times, us people from the BIPOC community, right? We tend to step into these roles, and like you said, we run, we create a movement, and then we burn out. And then people don't ask people see it as, oh, well,
They
just
tried.
they just
Yeah.
couldn't do it. And
Oh.
I say it's because they don't have the necessary support sometimes to continue in that position.
And let's hold
you know what I mean?
And go ahead.
No, and you were going to say something about
No.
accountability,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Let's hold each other accountable, because it's on both sides.
Yes.
Our community, Jasmine said something a while back. It's like, we love our community, but our community doesn't love us back. Let's hold each other accountable.
Or sometimes it's you love your city.
You love your city.
Yeah, you love your city, but sometimes your city doesn't love you back.
Right. And it's just like, hey, wait a minute. These kids are disrupting the norm.
Shit, rocking the boat.
Right. Hey.
Challenging my ideals
Yeah.
that I've
Right.
grown up with my
Hey.
entire life.
Hey, minute. Wait a minute. We got Bob and Bill and George and not to. Those are the names that came up. Relax, guys. Relax, guys.
The lawyers listening.
Relax, guys. No, but we got these guys that are controlling in the city, and here's a position, here's a position,
Oh,
here's a
yeah.
position, and then hold up, but you're talking about equity, diversity, and all these propaganda type of. You want to talk about propaganda?
Yeah.
That's propaganda, because like we're ready to go. You got people that are like, hello, here I am.
Right.
I'm making a lot of noise. I want to contribute. Put me in.
Yeah.
No, I get it. And not to discredit what you're doing. We love what you're doing. It's just we hired within just a little bit more experience, if you know what I mean. I was like,
Yeah.
So you know that conversation, right? And
Yo.
that's what first gen
Yo.
Americans deal with. They
All
deal with that
the
conversation all the time, because it doesn't matter how hard or sometimes we'll work twice as hard
Right.
to prove ourselves, and sometimes it's like, well,
Yeah.
you have the experience, but you don't have the degree.
keep doing what you're doing, though.
Yeah.
We love you.
Yeah.
Have a great day.
Right.
Yeah. And
Well-
there was something that you said a long time ago that really touched me too, was that in a lot of these meetings, we have to code switch as first gen Americans. And if you don't know what code switching is, it's
Please
usually
educate us. Please educate us.
change the way you speak on a normal basis. Like we talk to each other
Yeah.
regularly like this.
Yo, what's up? How you doing?
Yes. And then change
Hey,
it up when
yeah.
you're in the right, or not even in the right, just in a different crowd,
Right.
Yeah.
right? That might not look like you.
Yo, Jason, what's up? Jasmine, what up, man? What's up, guys?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Jason, how are you?
Oh yeah. You'll know when I
that.
do
How
it.
are you? Hey, Jasmine, how are you today?
Yeah, exactly.
How's it going? That's code switching.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
Yeah. Dun, 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 dun.
Right.
Yo, and sometimes when you know what's more awkward is that when we're in the surroundings where the demographics a little bit more elevated, if you know what I mean, you know what I'm saying, less melatonin, you know what I'm saying, and we go in there and then we see each other and the approach is different. Have you ever seen that skit with Dave Chappelle when they were doing it about Obama? He has like a couple of black guys and lined up, and then he has like his staff, and he approaches them differently, like, yo, what's up, my brother? Hey, how's it going? And then he goes to his other constituents and they're like, how are you?
Yeah.
How are That's code switching.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
major code switching.
So tell me some of the difficulties between your journey, man, and like, because we're truly inspired from what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
And your challenges, I hear them, you know, because
Yeah.
like, man, I feel for everybody that is doing something amazing that sits in that chair. I pray for all of us every single day we walk out this building. And the reason why is because it's not trauma porn unless we let it be.
Right.
Because unless if we leave it in a still momentum where we're like, what is the next trajectory? What are we doing? Are we doing enough? And then sometimes we kind of question ourselves over and over, like, yeah, but maybe we should go about this or that. And the reason why that happens is because we let outsiders come in and start dictating. They rock the boat. They're like, I love what you're doing, and maybe you should less aggressive. You know, I get that you're chasing. Hey, I love you, kid.
Oh yeah.
I get that you're passionate.
Oh yeah.
But please, just watch your surroundings and just like the emotions. Some people can see it as like you're too aggressive.
Oh
and-
yeah.
Tell me
No,
about
I
those-
feel. I'm gonna go to that later though. Later,
yeah,
like when
yeah.
we get to the where I'm at now. But I feel like the biggest barriers, like upcoming, you know, even growing up to where I'm at now, being 30, is the fact that people are always closing the doors on me just because I didn't have a simple piece of paper. But I'm like, I have experiences that, you know, I'm coming out here already knowing how to balance checkbooks, open a bank account.
Yeah.
I mean, I know how to buy a house already by myself. Like, I know how to do all this. Like,
Yeah.
how are you telling me? And I'm like seeing all these other students who are graduating from four-year institutions, figuring out life. I'm like, I had to have my shit together since a young kid.
Yeah.
It's just wild, though. So I'm not trying to say that not all students like that or from four-year institutions are not like that. But for me, it's like every person, every institution has always shut the door on me. And then,
I feel you, brother. I
coming
feel
in, with City gave me an opportunity and they're like, all right, let's take a shot on him. And I'm like, I ended up being the best recruiter in the country. So I'm like killing it because I know how to talk to people. And from day one, though, people are always telling me about like, I'm challenging quote unquote professionalism because, this country, society, will tell you how to dress, how to talk, how to speak, how to show up. I'm like, nah, I'm coming in authentically as Jason Bonilla. Like, I'm going to be myself. Like, I'm going to wear my piercings.
Yeah.
I'm going to wear my shoes. I'm going to be me. Because, like, it's just like this, whatever, like, this professional, quote unquote, like, lifestyle, it's just not me. And, like, yeah, I'm working, like, I have a great career. I've been able to work from home. I'm like, when I say work from home, my family thinks I'm like a millionaire. I'm like, nah.
Yeah.
No. Like,
Mijo, ¿cómo que trabajar en casa? ¿Cómo pero qué hace, niño? ¿Qué
Right.
hace trabajando en casa?
I know. And I'm like, mami, mira, es que hablo inglés. That's it. That's it. It's simply, it's just like, it's wild what like you can do with speaking English.
Right,
I'm like, I learned how to speak English, but I also learned, my mom taught me this, it's just like, always ask why, challenge why, advocate for yourself, because she's always had to advocate for herself.
Right.
And like I said, being a woman of color here, being a single mother, she was always asking why. We'd be at Market Basket. Oh my God, like I hated to go. We'd go and I'd be a kid, and like my mom would be like to the cashier, and she's like, "Why is this like this?" And my mother will hold the line until the cashier fixed the mistake. She'd be like, "I'm not leaving." Because like this country's not taking advantage of me. I know my rights. Like
that is amazing. That's what makes you and that bond with your mother special. Let me tell you on the other side, from my mother and my side, right? My mother is passive aggressive. Confrontation is not her style. To be able to ask questions like that, it kind of like, hey, don't disrupt the norm. Like you don't want to cause alarm. That's the difference between some of the parents out there. They're like, and most of our parents are like my mother. She's like, hey, tranquilo, no hay problema, it's fine. No, I was like, no, ask questions. Ask, don't get taken advantage of.
right.
Because then we're like getting hurdled like sheep. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, follow this path. Ask questions. Never be afraid. You know? They always that mentality of like shoot first, ask questions later type of like get something done. That's why like, if I see sometimes Jasmine, she'll be like, hey, Oscar, wait. I was like, no, we got to ask. We got to do like.
We gotta ask.
Yeah, we got to, depending on, there's different approaches on things.
It's the yin and the yang.
Yeah, no, I love that balance. That's why we are here. That's why you're my partner. Like, that's the style of like the yin and yang balance, right? That that approachability, right? Like the asking questions and setting that, disrupting that norm from what we think that is not the right way, right?
Right.
So from you seeing that from your mom, right? How did that boost up your confidence to kind of just be like, I want to try something different? Or did your mom kind of set some guidelines and being like, well, the expectation is, son, you should be a good doctor, be a good lawyer. What type of advice did your mom grow up telling you?
Like when my mom found out that I like dropped out of college, because like the first week though, I dropped out the first week. She got so mad at me. I was just like, Mom, I don't know what to do. Like I don't know what. She's like, as long as you find something that you want to do, that's it. My mom was like very supportive. Like she's given us like the foundation, and it was just on me. But right, you're like building the blueprint on your own. Like I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm like figuring it out as we go, and like here we are now, right? Like, you know, working a 9 to 5. I would tell myself when I was in retail, I'm like, I want to be like these white folks with briefcases and like work a 9 to 5 and like live the dream and like,
hey, honey, I'm home.
Right. Like, oh my God, real benefits. Oh my God, taking an hour lunch. What's an hour lunch like?
Yo.
Like I could hear stories from my families. The fact that you work 9 to 5, the fact that you take a break, the fact that you're having meetings, the fact that you could just leave and go somewhere, have a cup of coffee, have a meeting with a client or something like that. I was like, those are milestones. I was like, whoa. Like I'm the only one. Like I was like, for me, it's like in my direct family, not my cousins though, but that was all unheard of. It's like a different world.
Right. You know what similarities we have is just like I too have done it all with my mom, like the janitor job, you know, cleaning toilets and everything, you know, like working at manufacturing jobs. At 18, my mom was like, well, what, are you not going to go to college? All right, well, you got to get a job.
Right.
You know, what are you going to do? And I was like, well, my place is hiring. Come work with me. So I was working a manufacturing job, and let me tell you something. Being at 18 and a manufacturing job were just tedious. And shout out to anybody that does the jobs. If you have the mentality and the stability to be able to complete that every single day, and that's your norm, God bless you.
Yeah.
Because it's not for everybody.
Right.
Definitely not for me, my brother. Because I'm telling you, like, I just felt like I felt like I was 18 going on 50 and my dreams and hopes. And I'm like, I've never felt like I felt like I was on quicksand and just dropping fast. And my creativity and everything was just dying with it, right? So that's why I appreciate being able to have a business, being able to do this, because I always see my 18-year-old self being at those jobs that I've worked for, you know, manufacturing. I've done it all, like, and to be able to work in corporations where, you know, you have the briefcase and you have that job, I felt like that stability was something that my parents wanted for me, but it wasn't what I wanted for me. And I just can't see myself doing it for somebody else, because I feel that I have the opportunity to start something, to leave to my children, to have inspirations. Because every time the kids that we saw growing up, they were like, yeah, my dad owns a business, you know, and the flexibility. So we had an intern who was like, his dad owns a business. And he's like, yeah, but my dad owns a business, but that's not what I want to do. Right. And I'm like, cool. That's okay, but at least you have the experience from your dad of how to start a business. Right. And those conversations are different now. Yeah. You know, I can see talking to my children one day and saying, well, I know you don't want to do the media thing. I get it. Yeah. But, you know, this is how you can go about whatever you want to do. Right. And that's what we do here with our communities. We rinse and repeat that. We're like, what do you want to do? This is how you go about it. The rest is up to you.
Facts.
Right?
I mean, I completely agree.
You know, so how did that give you that sense of confidence? Because that conversation with your mom says, whatever you want to do, as long as you love what you're doing, that's beautiful. What inspired and sparked from then?
I mean, from what you've said, right? Like, my mom would be like, you know, if you want to clean toilets with me, that's fine. Yeah. That's fine. I'm like, but I also want you to do whatever you want to do at the same time. Because this is all I know. This is what I'm good at right now. And from there, it's like, you know, me being able to speak the language here, me being like always told, I'm like, mijo, you have power, tienes un poder, puedes hacer más, mijo. Yeah. And I'm like, all right, here we go. I just knew that my creativity, I'm like, I belong, I can do more. I can share and elevate my stories.
Yeah.
I can get more individuals. I can find other individuals who have struggled just like me. I'm not the only one, which really got me to where I'm at now, right? So, like, you know, I'm out here now
Yeah.
in Manchester. Never knew I'd be in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
But what brought me here was dream of like getting more individuals like myself in front of our students. Because I didn't see much of that growing up. Where I grew up in Revere, I barely saw an educator of color. That's why I think I had a hard time believing that I'd make it, though.
Yeah.
So
That's amazing. Tell me, let's dive in. Manchester, you're city elect, you know, city official, and you're a part of the school board.
yeah,
You know, that's amazing, dude. Tell me the difficulties, because now you're breaking barriers, right? Tell me the difficulties and the challenges of you being a person, you know, from our community and in a position like that.
yeah. I mean, I would have never thought myself of being here, like being in that position. But I saw an opening, and I can gaslight myself. I can tell myself I can be my biggest enemy every single day. Tell myself why I don't belong,
Right.
how I don't have the quote unquote credentials or PhDs. But I knew that I had it.
Yeah.
I knew that I've done the community organizing work. I know my communities. I know the experience, not all of it, but like I know the experience of being a BIPOC individual in the city, in the state of New Hampshire. I know what it's like to have lack of representation. So for me, seeing that opening, right, because for me, I was appointed to be in there. I took over from my predecessor. And here we are. They chose me. So now, before I even decided to put my name, I was like, I'm gonna do this, but I'm gonna be myself.
Perfect, bro.
No one's. I need to be myself.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wear my Yeezys.
Yeah.
I gotta
No,
look.
that-
I gotta look fresh.
Yeah.
I have to look fresh. That's for me. I have to look
Yeah,
fresh
you
going
know-
into these meetings.
You know what? But the fresh and comfortable.
Oh yeah, fresh and comfortable.
Those
It's
shoes
all
are
about
comfortable,
fresh and
man.
comfortable.
Yeah.
But it's like I also want to show like this state, this city, our youth that like there are people that look like us that can be in these positions.
Yo, you think that these politicians are all tense because their shoes are too tight?
I mean, it
You
could be.
think-
It could be. It could be.
You think that
Straight
that's the
up.
reason? If they just put on some shoes that are comfortable, you
I
think
know.
that the world would be a more lax place?
Right.
Think about that, right? We should put that into effect. Wear some comfortable shoes when
Wear
you're
some
making
comfortable shoes.
when you're making some really big decisions.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that the blood pressure pumps from your legs and from your foot up to your head. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you can relax a little bit more. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So you're in there, right?
Yeah.
You're your most authentic self. But as you know, we have a problem in the state, which is a lot of, racist people are infiltrating school board meetings and making decisions and trying to kind of move the trajectory. Then they're getting strategic on where they go to infiltrate. They're like, all right, we don't want to talk to the past. We got to talk to our future.
Yeah.
Let's go and start educating and riling these kids up. And you got kids going to school board meetings with their parents, and their parents are telling them, yes, it's okay, express yourself. We don't want people of color taking control. We don't want them making decisions for our kids because they don't know how our kids grow up and how they live. So we need to isolate these individuals, put them back in the inner cities where they belong, and make a decision that will best suit for us.
Yeah.
And whatever is for them, well, so be it.
Yeah.
That it was code switching, by the way. But go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, being me, saying what I do. So I come in. I took the position. I'm an advocate for Black and brown youth,
Right.
and if that makes you uncomfortable, let's just say to our white folks as well, if that makes you uncomfortable, that's some work you got to do internally, right? I feel like all of this goes and stems through a sense of fear, right? Because from what I've heard, certain white folks may feel like, well, so that means I don't matter.
Right.
So we talking about the Black Lives Matter movement, then all of a sudden we have another movement, Blue Lives Matter. So it's like, it's like a protest to a protest, right?
Yeah.
But like, no one's saying you don't matter. We're just trying to show you, right, that individuals from the BIPOC community are treated unfairly.
Absolutely.
That we're not being fairly represented.
chastised,
So,
undermined.
so for me, it's like I'm coming into these meetings and I'm going to question policy. I'm going to question decisions that we're making, and how are they impacting my community, the BIPOC community
Right.
in the city of Manchester. And I say it right. I say this with, I say, you know, like when I'm in these meetings, right, I'm not going to dehumanize my committee members. I'm not coming in with that approach. I'm not going to do that to you.
Yeah.
I'm just going to speak from my heart and be honest and transparent with you of like why I think like this and why I'm saying this. And I do my best to really, I do my best to be vulnerable. I'm vulnerable all the time. I have to, and that's so draining, but I want to show my fellow committee members as well as the city of like what it's like to be in my seat.
Yeah.
Because there's only 2 people of color. And
I feel wholeheartedly what you just said about that vulnerability. Also about not isolating them. I too am in a city position, right? Having those conversations, your colleagues, right?
Yeah.
They're not your enemies.
No.
You're coming in with a brand new perspective and to ask questions that have never been asked before. And by doing that, you're changing the game forever.
Yeah.
Forever. You know, for the individuals out there that I feel like we're running with this torch and we're getting winded and we're getting tired and we feel like we're not going anywhere because the finish line just keeps getting farther and farther away. Guys, if you ask the right questions in positions that have never been asked before, you're sparking ideas to the other side that will forever change the game. Forever. Because you know what? Whether you decide to do it, somebody else will pick it up and get inspired and do it for you. It's up to you how far you want to go. And I love that the fact that you said that, because it's the fear of like, if we put a Hispanic in here, they're passionate individuals. They might just stir things up. And I'm like, no. We're here to educate as well as be educated. Why hasn't it done before? How can we change that? And what can we do to make it much better to truly include all of us? Right?
Yeah, because you always hear this, like, you know, anybody can be in politics. I'm like, let me just have a conversation with you and be straight up. Like, no. Like,
No.
we talk about like bringing in young leaders. Let's get more young leaders of color into positions in office. I'm like, can we just acknowledge the barriers?
Right.
Let's just talk about that. And if we do, let's do better by supporting them.
Right.
Let's do better by
mentoring them.
Right, mentoring them, but also like we need to have institutions or like this home where like they will be seen, right? They will be heard. They will not be told that they are being too quote unquote aggressive.
Right.
Like this is how I talk.
Yeah.
But like I'm not going to try to code switch.
Yeah.
No. Like but then I do. If I don't know you, I'm going to code switch.
Subconsciously.
It's unconscious. Yeah. It's wild, but I wanna be real. Like I go into these meetings being real.
Yeah.
And like at the end of the day, right, we may have like different opinions and perspectives, upbringings, but it doesn't mean I'm coming in here to work with you, because at the end of the day, these decisions impact our students and our educators, and I'm here to ride for my city. That's why I took the job, and I'm serious about it. I'm like, I'm doing this. I'm putting in the time with my fellow committee members and the mayor, the city.
Yeah.
Like I just like that's why I took the role, and it's not easy.
No,
it's definitely not.
I can imagine.
Like the press. I mean, like social media. I'm like,
Right.
yeah, they flame me sometimes.
Dude.
My!
I saw a picture of you. Like there was a meeting going on. Remember with his hand in his head. You were like this. There was like two individuals arguing like across you, and you were just like your hand was in your head like this, and you were just like, damn, I hope he holds strong. Which
Well, I was just, it's just like capturing the moment. I was just thinking,
Yeah.
my facial expressions. I'm like,
oh, we wear that well.
I'm just like,
There's no poker face when you're vulnerable all
Yeah.
the time, and you wear your emotions in your sleeve.
Yeah.
And then you're trying to protect it at the same time. You're trying to educate, right? But can you imagine our 18-year-old selves doing this right now? What we would translate? We would translate pain out to the airwaves right now. It takes time. It takes essence, man. Like I'm still learning.
Oh yeah.
I'm not sitting here knowing that I know everything. No.
I don't either.
You know what I'm saying? I learn from Jasmine. Jasmine learns from me. We learn from Megan from a different perspective. And that's what gives us a trifecta of a perfect balance, right? You're surrounded by individuals that are constantly, if you're doing something wrong, guess who's calling? Eva's calling you.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Heavy.
hey,
Heavy.
pero muchacho.
Oh, I know.
¿Qué es que estás haciendo? What are you doing?
Oh, this.
No, you got to take it easy. And I appreciate mentors like that.
Yeah, I mean, also shout out to the Equity Leaders Fellowship.
Oh,
like
for
Elf,
sure.
They helped me down. Like that fellowship.
Shout out whoever,
Yeah,
meant you to mold you to who you are
Oh
today.
yeah, because like the New Hampshire leaders here,
Yeah.
they're like, you better hold this down. I'm like, I'm gonna try it, but I'm not the only one. There's
Right.
many of us.
Okay.
Many of us here in the state who are like advocating for equity here. And like I've been in the position where like, yeah, I was given the shot.
Yeah.
Now I'm here and I'm gonna make sure that I use that power for good and for equity, and also to really ensure that our BIPOC folks are heard.
What are some of the challenges that you feel in Manchester that, because anything that's happening in Manchester is replicated here in Nashua, and in Laconia. Shout out to Carlos. Like we're shaking and moving all over the state. It's not being amplified as much as we wanted to. It will, but we're shaking and moving throughout the whole state. What's some of the biggest challenges that you see that we need to overcome as a community, as a BIPOC community?
I always feel like it's like, you're talking about like my family never knows what I'm doing.
Right.
And I feel like if we could get more of our community to these spaces, but I know the barriers, right? Work, childcare, education. So like if I could only just have more of our people show up to these public meetings, these decisions would be completely different.
It's tough when we're essential workers.
I know. So
Even-
like, how's
even-
it equitable? Like, it's just like it's wild to me.
Yeah, that's, and you know what, and that's what I feel like some of the challenges, most of the challenges, even when we're trying to rally people up together,
Right.
it's like a working schedule, or and this is their livelihood. This is not a
is.
luxury of like, oh, I'm working from home, I'll just go on break. I'm
You're right.
gonna go. We don't have that luxury, right?
Yeah.
Even when the economy, and even when the pandemic, I mean, hopefully this is the end of it, right? This is post-pandemic, but even when the pandemic started 2 years ago, like we weren't here. I mean, this wasn't happening, right? This was a totally different station 2 years ago compared to the conversations that are happening now. But individuals, like out front, landscapers, nurses, construction workers, all of these, like, how do we talk to their jobs and say, if you promote and you validate them, they have a meeting to go to, how do they not get penalized for that?
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's something that we need to work in a corporate level to be able to say we're changing the trajectory within our community. How do we hold these individuals? How do we not hold them accountable for missing an hour? Like,
right.
if you can give us a whole month, right, at a section of a department store, you can give us a couple of hours to try to strengthen our community. Yes or no?
That'd be great.
Right?
That'd be great.
But the $1 million question, the $1 billion question is, how do we get there? How do we, people like what's that company that we went to work something, We Work or
Stay Work Play?
not Stay Work Play, that other one, the with Maria that we went to. No. There was a company that says that they try to, to get one fair wage, right? Okay. Why doesn't One Fair Wage, here's an idea to them, why doesn't One Fair Wage reach out to corporate companies that they partner with to help these individuals, saying, at this day, we have an opportunity to be able to change the game. We're going to do a part 2. We're going to have you come back, but please, Jason, shout out everything that you're doing, where people can contact you. Life happens when you're having fun, right?
You're right.
Shout everybody. Where can anybody reach you at?
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Feel free to reach me on my email at jbonia@mansd.org. Thank you, y'all, for having me. Appreciate y'all.
Wow, that went by fast. Ladies and gentlemen, First Gen American, thank you to all of our sponsors, Rivera Nayarit, Mi Jalisco, Fences Unlimited, and New Hampshire Housing. Follow us on fgmshows.com. Thank you for all of our viewers, all of our subscribers, and we appreciate you. Till next time, we'll have a part 2 with Jason Bonilla. Peace.
WSMN 1590.